Hello, my name is Teresita Branco, the Artsy sister, and today I'm going to be talking to you about my 10 favorite animes featuring vampires. Most of the ones the 9 of the ones in this list are anime shows, but one of them is just an anime movie. The first one on the shopping block is Blood Plus, but it's an anime show that ran in that first aired in 2005. And the first place I used to see it, and it was produced by Production Agin and Anipelex. Those are the ones responsible for making Blood Plus. But the place where I saw it was in Adult Swim in Cartoon Network. I remember, like back when cable used to have something good to watch before the advent of like streaming channels and Netflix, and now not even streaming channels have anything to watch. So now I'm just like wondering, where do I go?
For Blood Plus, also Blood, the Last Vampire.
Yeah, like like this show was inspired on like an anime movie featuring Saya hunting Chiropterans, which is like a type of like weird mutant vampire, but she herself is also a vampire. And like at least in this anime show, they go more in depth into like her backstory and where the characters came from, because there are two vampire queen twins that produce two different flavors of vampires that are mutually exclusive. Her blood is able to like kill the vampires that are produced by her sister,
And vice versa.
But she only had like her only little vampire troll sidekick is her little Haji. Yeah, it gives you some Sebastian McCaleb vibe. But then again, she was Kimmy. Like this guy back here wasn't in the original Blood anime movie. Like he's just a character that they suddenly added into India because Sebastian Michaelis made cool butler background characters cool. So even like his character design is very very.
The original Blood, the Last Vampire, it wasn't very clear why she killed vampires or what.
Well, she didn't use her blood that much, or
No,
did
she
she?
didn't use it. She just was really good with a sword. And
Yeah, and then she just hack and slash, she's a hunting vampire because she's one step above.
then you have the army carrying around the Seal of Glory everywhere.
Yeah, so then they needed a more legit reason as to why they needed her in specific, why they added the gimmick that she needed her blood in order to like slay them. But I don't remember seeing that in like the
She
original.
made her blade different, that it has like a place where you can cut your finger.
But yeah, her weapon is the original Shikage. So Bloodborne draws inspiration from Blood Plus, more specifically with the sword, with the blood tinged weapon, the Shikage, which means
And the new Blood.
yeah. The whole king has type blood is just blood the last vampire. Yeah. But yeah, that's basically it in a nutshell. Just two vampire sisters doing evil upon each other. Cause
They kept having Diva sing, and they kept telling us that she sounded good, but she was sounding like that.
well, at least the English singer was like, "Oh my God, shut the hell up." I'm sorry.
What is it with singing vampires? There's another singing vampire in Castlevania.
Oh yeah. Oh, and also the Nevan singing vampire in an opera house in Devil May Cry 3.
Thing with singing vampires.
Chicks in general. I have a singing vampire chick. Rimaru.
Okay.
Yeah.
With chicks and singing female vampires.
Well, maybe she just like musicals. We want to turn everything into a musical, whether it makes sense or not. You should. Well, think a musical vampire, whatever. Alright, next anime show. This one is the Netflix adaptation of Castlevania. Like they started with that. It was the 2017, right? It feels like such. It feels very recent because recently
Everything. Do not look into the Death Star.
yeah. These people are lunatics. And then at night they turn into monsters, and then like him trying not to kill them because in the morning they turn back into normal humans. So then it will be a no kill run.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be the gimmick of the Castlevania, the Curse of. No, it wasn't Samuel. It was the Curse of Dracula or something.
It's called Simon's.
I just don't remember. I played that like when I was 5 in like Cuba, and I didn't speak English.
Which is fine because
That the English, that being able to like read the English dialogue and like Castlevania.
it had really good music.
Yeah, dun, 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 dun. No, in fact, they put the music of Castlevania 2 in like the Castlevania battles. Dun, 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 dun.
No, you know, also in Castlevania 3 they do that they use music from Simon's Quest or some other bosses.
Yeah, because it just has a kill. It's an imperfect game with a killer soundtrack. But yeah, it's a anime adaptation of a video game. Like this one, the next vampire show was mentioning is Hellsing. The first one came out in 2002, but then there was a remake of the Hellsing anime called Hellsing Ultimate that came out in 2006. So
He stripped it of its charm.
yeah, it had like terrible jokes and like whenever I tried to do humor it was like awful and like sometimes I would just spend long hours of nothing or just watching this nothing guy play. And the director
had like a nice jazz bebop tune and
and while the other one is defined by nothing music. Yeah, the nasty vampire. Like I remember that somebody redubbed the Hellsing Ultimate, and then like Alucard would be like in the redub. You mean like vampire? You mean like who are the bad guys? Like the Nazis? And then they said no. If it was a Nazi, that would be retarded. Everyone saw that the Nazi vampire was the stupidest thing in the world. And I'm not gonna say that it worked. It didn't. It was just bad.
don't get me wrong, the battles are good, but if they would have used the same soundtrack as they used for Hellsing, in Hellsing Ultimate, it would have been better.
Yeah. I like the music of Hellsing, or the original Hellsing a lot better. And it also has better pacing, because like at the end it just felt like they were trying to stretch it longer than it was and they had nothing to work with.
And then so
Also, they removed from Hellsing Ultimate the weird incognito, the vampire from Africa.
yeah, and it's weird.
Yeah, like there's some things that are in the Hellsing anime that are not in Hellsing Ultimate, and vice versa. But the first couple of episodes or both of them are like copy pasted the same thing. It said with higher production value in Hellsing Ultimate.
But lower music.
Yeah, like they were higher in the animation and lower in the music and terrible jokes, just terrible jokes.
Terrible humor. They came up with this thing.
Yeah, and terrible edgy humor with
I did not need to see in graphic details how the priest was assaulting.
Terra Victoria.
I did not need to see that. It was not necessary.
Yeah.
I did not watch Hellsing for the edgy. I watched it for the.
I watched it for the goal to watch vampires like rip people to limb from limb, and it was hilarious in Hellsing Ultimate. Like after he like scared someone into like blowing his brains out, he went and called his mom instead of Victoria. Tell me that I'm not responsible for this madness. Tell me that I'm not responsible for my actions because I am a vampire troll. That he's not a troll. He's a major vampire, but he's bounded to her in order to do whatever she says. So then he'd be like, well, you're doing everything because I order you to. So then he'd be like, phew, so I'm not responsible for this death. You are responsible for the death because you ordered me to do
Yeah,
evil.
for real, Alucard doesn't give a shit.
Yeah. No, the Hellsing Alucard doesn't care.
Like,
The Hellsing Ultimate does have a heart. And they eventually even gave him a backstory close to the end.
and it made him lesbian for a time, and he fucked the Queen of England.
Yeah, he has a female form.
Like, I have no issues with any of that. My issue is that it's boring. It's weird.
Boring. A gory action vampire show is weirdly boring at times. And that's what you don't make. It's just boring. How can you make Hellsing boring?
Like just watch Hellsing Ultimate and then watch
The original
the
Hellsing.
original Hellsing, and then you'll see exactly what we're eating.
Yeah, they made Hellsing boring.
You know, we are going to share this in the Hellsing subreddit, so they're going to like downvote it to that. I wouldn't care.
We stay to our guns. Hellsing Ultimate has some parts that just drag, that are just boring as. And also, I don't care what the bad guys are doing. Cut that. Cut that out. I don't care. I don't care what like the bad. Who cares what the Nazi vampires are up to?
The final boss of Hellsing, they're fighting incognito. He's never mentioned throughout the story, and we don't know where he came from or why he's attacking you. He doesn't get explained. He doesn't.
He just said it's vampire monster of the week.
Yeah. And he's fun. It's a fun fight. You actually see Alucard
struggling a bit until he removes his seventh seal, which makes me think that Alucard he has a lot of Black Butler in it, because technically isn't a vampire being controlled by a human because of some weird blood pact, because he was sealed away by some weird magic ritual ages ago. It just hit me that Hellsing is just Black Butler. But with vampire
and guns, like Sebastian Mercadian with a gun.
Yes, Sebastian Mercadian with a gun and very sharp teeth. But he's a demon. He could grow sharp. Well, she could grow sharp teeth, cause Sebastian is a chick.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
Sebastian
is a lady demon. Because canonically, male demons predate on women, and female demons predate on small children. Each of them goes one level down in helplessness. And demon children, they predate on elderly to eat them. You know, everyone's like doing harm to like very weak, vulnerable individuals.
Oh yeah, but it did bring us in that bitch in canon.
Well, that was in the redubbed.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I don't think that the redub of Hellsing is still running around in the internet. But it was hilarious. Anyone who saw it, they can tell you that I like better the redub of Hellsing Ultimate than the Hellsing Ultimate. It was funny. It made me laugh.
And the people who redubbed it also added the original soundtrack. Like, they did a better job at Hellsing Ultimate than the people who made Hellsing Ultimate.
Yeah, and they also edit out the boring bits.
Yeah,
just focus
the stupid humor parts.
Yeah, that was just there. Cut them. Cut the fat. You trim the fat of Hellsing Ultimate, and it's great.
Yeah.
And it's a great show if you trim the fat.
Oh, yeah.
And change the soundtrack. I don't wanna. You don't wanna put Flight of the Valkyrie because it's license free.
Like Flight of the Valkyrie.
Yeah, I'm sick of that Nazi music.
And Nazis in general.
Yeah, get them out of the popular media already. They don't need people to show whatever. Just tiresome and TVs and running and in the government in Florida. Yeah, there's a lot of Nazis in Florida. So be careful. Be careful. If you're like.
We're gonna get dogs for the next
one. Like the next one, vampire show is Jojos Bizarre Adventure. Let me see. When was the first episode? Oh yeah, 2000. Well, it aired in Japan in like 2012, and Chunky also got it around that time. There was a time when we had like an anime website called Anime Kida, and then we come back.
It is us. We never left. We just changed our name.
We just rebranded as Artsy there, but yeah, we were Anime Kida or Kaida as our fans used to pronounce. Anime Kaida. The point is that we saw that show.
Everybody, the mother is like, yes, I knew it.
Yeah, I knew that it was you. You crazy spammers. Who forced us to enact a bunch of rules to get you the hell out of there. All of the annoying rules that are in Reddit. Us. Yeah, whatever. The least said about that, the better. The point is that we told Shunky Roll, like, we saw in like the English streamers, there wasn't anywhere that was showing Jojo's Bizarre Adventure because it was just a little too weird for like because of the style they didn't consider it anime even though it was made by an anime person. Mostly because like he doesn't know how to draw chicks to save his own life. And anime is defined by hot anime. Well, that's the main selling point, how they sell themselves to like the Westerner with up high and edgy. But whatever, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. It's a vampire show. So we convinced Chunkiro to get JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and eventually made it to Adult Swim because we used to be in good terms with like Chunkiro, and then we told them like, you gotta put this show. This show is actually good. Trust us. And then yeah, that's how JoJo eventually started circulating around the internet because we kept telling them, you know how in the Bird Box they say everyone must look. We went like that in the early 2010s with JoJo saying everyone must watch this great show ever.
Oh yeah, do not visit Anime Kida right now. The Korean server that had Anime Kida took the site and filled it with viruses.
Yeah,
Stay away from that.
yeah, that place.
That website.
Yeah, it's gone. We don't talk about Bruno. Let's stop talking about anime Bruno, anime Kaida. Whatever. So then, yeah, it's like how it begins is that it's a mask that turns people into vampires when you wear it. So yeah, and then later on in the second season they explain why it works like that is because of Mexican vampires. These three Mexican vampires in a nutshell. And then Dio shows up again in like the third season, and then for a while there's no more vampires.
Yeah, and then they have Mexican vampires.
No. It's only the first three seasons are pure vampires, and then season 4 there's no vampires. Season 5, season 5, the one with Dio's son, he's not a full-fledged vampire. He's a halfling, a vampire. So then, if you wanna those are the seasons that you wanna watch if you wanna focus 100% on the ones that feature vampire. But it's not like a pure 100% vampire show. It's half of it is.
Yeah, it's also interesting because the season that has Dio in them, they're made. They're drawn with CGI, while the ones that do not have Dio in are drawn with cell shading style. So it's a weird.
So
yeah, where the vampires are based on the opening.
Yeah, but yeah, and it's interesting. It's interesting, like Dio's son's ability. While vampires are defined by their ability to like suck the life force out of people, was Giorno Giovanna, the Dio's son. He gives life force to people, so he's a reverse vampire because instead of draining the life out of you, he regenerates you. So he's an interesting as far as vampires are concerned.
Yeah, he's a reverse vampire.
Yeah, and yeah, he's also a daywalker. He can like walk around the sunlight just fine, and even his power stand is called Golden Wind, which is very sunlight. So yeah, he's a reverse vampire. Very fun kid. And also like vampire, he is able to resurrect like somebody that shouldn't be alive anymore, like fresh, as a troll. And he did turn Busherati for a troll for the second half of the season.
And he also had the same bug flesh ability that Dio had, but in the form of a stand against life.
Yeah.
Because a lot of that is just the flesh bugs that Dio had, but expressing
in purified regeneration stuff because he wasn't raised by a psychopath. And then he was raised by a mafioso with a heart of gold. By a good mafioso. Yeah, it's the Godfather, the best season, just watch 1, 2, 3, and 5. The rest,
season 4 when he started with the Selvies.
Yeah, and like and the Mori season. Oh God, the Japanese JoJo is hilariously the absolute worst. Not Kujo, the middle guy. I mean the second one, because even though the third one, It was Jotaro Kuyo.
Yeah, Yotaro Kuyus.
Even though he's Japanese and stuff, they don't spend they only spend like 2 episodes in Japan, and the rest are just traveling around the world. Like, and it's a lot of fun. I like the traveling around aspect of JoJo, and that's something else that's missing from the fourth season, the travel aspect. They spend all of their time in like rural Japanese in a boring high school setting, and there's nothing I hate more than like boring high school settings. So the next vampire anime show in the list is Noblesse. Like for a time, Netflix, not Netflix, Crunchyroll started trying to make its own, instead of like buying anime shows to host on their streaming service, they started like making their own original programming. And Noblesse is one of those anime shows. It's about an 800-year-old vampire that responds, and then he's like in a high school setting, and then it's like the contrast with his life in high school a la Twilight, and then his life with like all of the other vampires that he left behind, like vampire society and all that nonsense. So even himself is but even himself is a bit out of touch with how things are in his day and age, because after sleeping for 800 years, the world around him changed too much. So he serves as a good audience surrogate because even he's an outsider in his own vampire world. Because there might be one or two familiar faces, but like a person changes like hell for 800 years, even if not physically, at least personality-wise. And it has a lot of like fun battles. Just I don't know if Noblesse is still like in Crunchyroll, because Crunchyroll got bought by Viz Media, and they're doing more emphasis on their own collection. So I don't know if they threw under the bus all of the original animes that Netflix had made. Like most of them were like absolute garbage, but there were like one or two good ones here and there, including Noblesse, which started as a webtoon that got adapted into an anime in like the 2000s. The next vampire anime show we're talking about is Rosario plus Vampire. It originally aired in like 2008, so it's oldish. So it's about a normal human guy going into a school that gets weirdly transferred into a school full of like monster people, including vampires. And then his main vampire romantic interest is Moka Agashieva, and then her powers are sealed by the cross that makes her like happy-go-lucky, and then when she removes it, she goes into like her battle mode. So then she has a bit of a Yami Yugi type of thing going on for her, or a split personality, that her more aggressive form is like very uber murdery, while her regular form is like happy-go-lucky. But it's mostly just she trying to live like a normal vampire life while trying to avoid bloodshed as much as possible. But like anything taking place in a high school setting, even if it's it's going to high school, except that you're a normal human surrounded by like meta humans and vampires and demons and succubus. So it's just like high school, being at the bottom of the food chain, literally. And it's of course as shown by the main front cover. It's one of those little harem shows, so expect plenty of that. The next one on the Shockbeam blog is Shiki. It was like, I think it was aired it was like it first aired around 2009, 2010 in ISA. And before it was an anime show, it was book, like a book with actual pages and words. and then it got adapted to a manga, and then the manga got adapted into an anime show. And right off the back, it wears like its book elements very strongly. It feels like Count Dracula, except that it's a girl, but in like a Japanese rural setting, and like it has a lot of strong Bram Stoker vibes, but in a good way, very fun. So then, like Dracula, one day a family of vampires moves into like an isolated rural city in Japan, and then they, as most vampires usually do, they start eating the humans one by one and turning them into vampires. It's just that not everyone can turn into a vampire in the show when they predate upon them. It takes a special type of personality of a person for somebody to be reborn as a vampire after getting eaten by a vampire. So, which makes me think that the whole vampirism thing is not that. It's not that. It's not that you get turned into a vampire by drinking vampire blood. It's that the vampire blood awakens something that was deep inside you all along. That you were a vampire from the very beginning, but it was a dormant gene, you know? But which would explain why humans and vampires can crossbreed with each other, because they are one and the same, you know, just a human with like superpowers and weird longevity because of some weird mutation or whatever, or a dormant gene. But that's just my theory, the theory of one of my books anyhow. Yeah, I have written vampire books. I had three so far, written three so far. Rimaro, My Sweet Vampire Candice, and My Vampire Brother's Keeper. They're all in Amazon. You can check them out if you like reading vampire stuff. But I have also read them as audiobooks. Well, not self-promotion. Back to Shiki. I like a lot the opening introduction of Shiki. Has like very good anime music and stuff. Oh. Hit the microphone by accident. The next vampire anime show worth mentioning is Trinity Blood. The thing with like Trinity Blood, it first aired in 2005, and I first saw it in Adult Swim. Like they would air it like around one right after Bleach. Or usually, yeah, it was after Bleach. So like the later on, you had to hold on to like later on in the night on Saturday in order to like watch like.
Because of the bounce.
Oh yeah, the bounce are more vampire, like they bite. So yeah, one season of Bleach is has some the bad season. The bounce season is has vampires in them. Also, like the main vampire is Abo Nairo. Well, he's not. He's a Kruznik, a vampire who is other vampires, but even that he's powered by nano, so he's a technolized vampire. So
in the babbling that it also transforming, that it's like Baba mentioned nonsense. One of the things he says that it's a nanobomb.
yeah, nano Kruznik, and then releasing the different levels of output of his abilities. It's just a weird thing that he acquired while he lived in the moon with his family, but his brother ended up being more nano Kruznik than him, and that's why he has a more Killmonger than him. So, but also that his relationship with his twin brother, I'd be like, dude, Trigon caught. It wants his fly. It's basically Trigon, but they're vampires.
No, it's basically Trigon with Hellsing mixed together.
Yeah, polymerized, and but him working with the church, because it's a lot of churchy stuff into it. But yeah, it's Trigon polymerized with Hellsing. Yeah, there's no other way around it. And with let's sprinkle a little bit. Yeah, but yeah, Trigon is sci-fi. You know? Whatever. But yeah, that's Trinity Blood in a nutshell. This one is Vampire Hunter D, and it's a collection of like novel stories focusing on like a vampire hunter named D. And then he's not like a vampire. He's a well, it's D for something. It's short, but obviously it's Dracula. Or maybe he's related to Dracula. He just calls himself D, but never gives him
Somebody in the comments right now, he's D for Daffodil. It has nothing.
Daffodil or Dave. Vampire Hunter Dave, but then he shortened it to D because Dave is such a stupid name, but it sounds cool. D, Vampire Hunter D, and he had like a cool anime movie in like the early 2000s, and there's never been like a good adaptation of all of the Vampire Hunter D novels. They're books. But things with letters, but there have been a few. Some of it have been adapted to like mangas and stuff. And like all of the front covers have been made by Yoshitaka Amano, like the Final Fantasy guy. Like you can see it in this front cover. It's very Final Fantasy. Hey, even Square Enix should like make a Vampire Hunter the anime game.
Vince,
Oh yeah, Vincent! Vincent!
fight with a gun.
Yeah, you're right. Vincent is just Vampire Hunter D, but in red. Devil May, but the red also reminds me of Devil May Cry. Well, which one came from Vincent or Dante?
Yeah, that's something we should erase.
Whatever, moving along. But yeah, it has like cool fights and like there's a main vampire. Like a vampire runs away with like the daughter of a rich guy, and then a vampire hunter D gets hired to recover the girl back, and then it's just him chasing after that guy that ran away with the maiden. Because as a vampire hunter, he knows that vampires they have an effect on stupid mortal women that they just find them irresistible, and the reason why they have that allure is because it makes it easier for them to predate upon them. So yeah, all of your Twilight, yeah, all of your Edward fans, there's a reason. Yeah, you're a vampire. You're a vampire shouter. The reason why you find him irresistible is because of the vampire allure. That makes it easier for them to nibble on you.
That's what they're lowering and he's weak-minded.
Yeah. But yeah, that's basically it. Vampire charm. I mean, it just makes him easier to eat the little maidens. And the last one, vampire show worth mentioning is, well, the 10th one. They're in alphabetical order. They're not in order of least to worst. They're in alphabetical. It's Vampire Princess Miu. It's based on an anime series, but like an anime manga. But it's not just Miyu, but there's other vampires that show up there. Vampire Saku, and some other vampires. But the anime show just focuses on Miyu in specific. And like Vampire Hunter D, she's a vampire maiden who hunts other vampires.
It's one of the few vampires that I've seen that uses fire as a weapon.
Yeah, like now.
Ish.
Yeah, like she's almost like a Miko priestess. It said that she's a vampire maiden, and a lot of her targets are she usually finds them in like high school. So basically, if Miyu had transferred over to like where the Twilight God Edwards was at, and like within episode 2, she would have burned him to cinders for like predating a poor innocent maiden. And
Imagine Edwards showing himself completely shattered and it's really meek. He just burned from high in
front of like Bella, I said, no, and then she be like, you're safe now, bye. My planet needs me, bye. Burn you evil vampire, taking advantage of poor hormonal high school maidens. You 200-year-old sick bastard. That's just really how it is. And then, just because he slept with her when she turned 18 doesn't change the fact that he groomed her for 2 years before boning her. And he's 200 years old. Go date your own. Red flag. Go date someone your own age, Edward. Oh yeah, so Miyu. So yeah, it aired in 2001 and 2002, and it was released by Tokyo Pop. Like Tokyo Pop not only released anime show mangas, but they also for a time created anime shows as well. Like it's a pity that I think Tokyo Pop is back, or maybe just their name, but they just polish the same popular nonsense that is, oppai high schoolers. which is the thing that sells out in Japan apparently. But if you put a gun to my head, I would say just pull the trigger instead of watching what they call anime these days. But yeah, Vampire Princess Miu, a very unique vampire that uses that is a pyromancer, a vampire ability that is very rare among vampires, pyrokinesis.
Yeah, like you see more vampires using ice than fire.
Yeah, but vampires are weak to fire, so yeah, she's very strong vampire wise. Oh, and she also kind of have flies. Well, just very yeah, I think she flies too.
No, she just jumps really, really high.
Yeah, well, all vampires jump high. Jump high.
Yes.
Oh, and she's also a day walker, but because she can walk around in the morning daylight without light burning into a crisp.
Oh, she and Blade should team up, like light his blade on.
Yeah, like do a co-op mode. She like lights his blade on fire, and then like they go vampire hunting in like high
Bring
school.
him Midnight Sun.
Yeah, bring her to Midnight Sun. Yeah.
Like she and Blade versus a Ghost Rider. Now that would be a fun.
Or Edward, or whatever. Okay, so those are all of the vampire anime shows we're mentioning. I hope you have fun with me telling you about them. Like and subscribe, please, for the love of God. Bye bye and God bless.